The spring of 1947, the City Council of Fort Wayne, which was dominated by the Republican Party, I think it was 6-3, decided to apply for an east-west, north-south expressway from the federal government. But the City Council decided in its infinite wisdom to submit the matter to a referendum of the people in Fort Wayne in the November election of 1947. And in 1947, a man named Henry Branning, a local realtor, was the Democrat nominee, Otto Adams, Republican nominee. So that fall, the entire campaign was generated by discussion on the east-west, north-south expressway, put to as a referendum to all the people of Fort Wayne. Only the people in Fort Wayne could vote as to whether or not they would approve it or disapprove. And my father, as city attorney, was given the job of Mayor Balls to explain it to all the people in Fort Wayne as to how this would work. And the fact that the feds were providing $23 million of the $27 million, and all that Fort Wayne had to do was get $4 million together, which they could easily do in those days. They had to, within the constitutional limit of what, 2%?
Always been 2.
Of assessed valuation.
Yes.
So the city council was confident the people would approve it. The city council did not have to have approval from the community in a referendum, but they decided to do it anyway just to show popular support. Well, the Democrats decided to make that a campaign issue. My father was gone almost every night in various high schools, this is before television, and debated the issue with another Democrat attorney, and it was a very bitter battle. And a lot of, unfortunately, uncivil things were said by people on both sides. Came the election time, and the referendum was defeated.
I thought it was the general election that year that he was defeated by a giant snowstorm. And he may have said this too, I'm not making it up, by a giant snowstorm that kept many voters at home. But a political graph of Fort Wayne would look a little bit like this. The Republican voters are very well trained. They're motivated, out they go. I mean, rain, sleet, snow, it doesn't matter, they're going. And there's pretty much a steady amount of Republican voters. Democrats, maybe they'll go, and maybe supper's on or something too. It's much harder to get them out, and their turnouts tend to go up and down depending on whether they're mad about the freeway going through or other things. And so unless they're highly motivated, they don't come out. And snow is a bad thing. Snow's not good for, if you wake up in the morning on election day and it's snowing, it's not good for Democrats ever.
Ivan, as Wynn said, was somewhat brusque, somewhat difficult to deal with. You could not really sometimes carry on a conversation with Ivan, except that he had to listen to his profanity. Ivan would start going on and on about things. And one day, in front of the leadership Fort Wayne class, right in the front row of these 30, 40 people, like you here, was Sister Elise, the president of St. Francis College. And Ivan started spewing off about somebody, and every profanity-laced thing you could think of. He looks down, all of a sudden he realizes Sister Elise right there where Dave is sitting. He says, "Oh, pardon me, Sister Elise, I apologize." Went right on.
You may remember in the Indiana-Michigan City Light Lease Program, I&M and AEP promised to build 2 towers downtown. And you've seen the one on Calhoun and Clinton where AEP is, the number of law offices are. They had just a beautiful, it was about 25 feet high model of the 2 towers, and they promised us that with a skating rink in the middle, kind of like New York, where you could go skating, and gosh, all we had to do was turn over the city utilities to them and this would be built. Well, we did that, and I asked Ivan many times, there's only 1 tower, what's happened? Oh, when? I'm sure this is gonna, well, it never did. And so you will see pictures, which I thought you might have been referring to, and you're not at all, of 2 towers, because that's what was promised at about $30 million each, and they moved some headquarters here.
Unfortunately, we don't control Amtrak, and Amtrak decided from the standpoint of money making, money controls everything, that they didn't want our town anymore. We had the ideal situation. I mean, can you imagine that railroad station? We're still there in Baker Street, right by the baseball stadium. But there's a group now that's really pushing hard to get the railroad service through town. I admire those people for what they're doing.
They are, yes.
And it may come to pass. We'll have it back. And of course, the question is, after 80 years of mayors in the last 80 years, is this a Republican city or a Democrat city? But you see that in 21 elections from 1930 to 2015, the 7 men were elected mayor, covering 40 years, and on the Republican side, 5 men served a total of 45 years. So that's about as even as you can get in city elections in any city. I doubt if Indianapolis has that kind of a record, or South Bend, or any of the larger cities win.